initiatives meet. We have three speakers, and the first one is actually will be joining us virtually through video because Aaron Lewis is currently in Vietnam, and he has prepared two videos for us, and that will be a very special experience for all of us today. And we'll welcome Aaron through video from Vietnam. And we also have Brittany Rasek, and she is an eCampus Success Coach with our wonderful eCampus Success team. And also we have Kyle Whitehouse. She's the Assistant Director for the eCampus Student Success team. And let's welcome them.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here today. So as Tian Hong said, I'm Brittany, I'm one of the success coaches, and Aaron will be with us virtually. He is a senior instructor with the College of Business. And then of course we have Kyle Whitehouse, she's the assistant director for the eCampus Student Success team. And just real quick, to see who's in the room, by a show of hands, if you work directly with students as an instructor or an advisor or in a support role where you're working directly with students, could you raise your hand? Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for the work that you do for supporting our students. So a little bit for the agenda for what we're going to go over today. We're going to give some background on this assignment. It's an assignment in BA 101 where we're doing a partnership between the instructor and the student success team by providing success coaching. So we'll give you some context and background on how that started, when it started, how it's been going so far. And then Aaron's going to be with us virtually by video to give his perspectives and takeaways as an instructor, why he was looking at setting up an assignment like this. He'll actually be walking us through the assignment, showing us what it looks like for the students, and then sharing data and student feedback on what students are reporting, having done this now for a few terms. And then I'll be giving some takeaways from the success coach perspective. We'll actually get some feedback from students and get to hear from one of our business students who went through this. And then Kyle will be joining us to talk about future instructor partnerships, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. Okay, so a little bit for the background. This assignment first started in fall 2008. It was moved after the first term from a higher level course. It was in BA 381. After that first term, actually my colleague Bethany was helping Aaron with the assignment in that first term. Students were giving excellent feedback. They were definitely giving positive reports of the benefit of the assignment, but they were telling both Bethany and Aaron, I really wish this had come sooner. This would have been really helpful for me, and they specifically called out BA 101. I would have loved to get connected sooner. Maybe that's something you should consider. And Aaron was very nimble and flexible with that, and he actually got the assignment to teach BA 101 a couple of terms ago, and so he was able to shift that over, and we made that adjustment based on the student need. Another thing to know is that eCampus Student Success Coaching is a resource available for all undergraduate degree-seeking students, so this is not something that is required to be, based on an advisor referral or an instructor referral. It's something that students can access anytime. Students receive outreach and communication from their success coach all the way up from admission. Once they're admitted into the university, we help them with their next steps and getting connected to their advisor, and then they hear from us every term. We're available for that coaching from day one all the way up to graduation date. And then the coaching assignments are based on major. So I work specifically with the College of Business. At the time this started, Bethany was working with the College of Business, so they have that one person, that point of contact for the life of their program. And a little bit about our coaching philosophy. It's based on presence, empathy, and connection. So we believe that each student is the expert on what's best for them. They know what's working well. They know what's hard, what's challenging. We're not here to tell them what to do. We're here to listen, hold space for them, hear what's going on, be that point of connection, and help give them that individualized support based on what's going on with them and their situation. And all of our coaches on the student success team have been trained in both presence-based coaching and motivational interviewing, and many of us do additional coaching training beyond that as well. Okay, so Aaron's gonna come on. I'll get his video going. Like I said, he'll guide us through the assignment and share some data. And like Tian Hong mentioned, he will be joining us from Vietnam. I like to think he's somewhere in this picture, but probably not. Okay, so let me get out of this.
Hello everyone, my name's Aaron Lewis. Sorry I cannot be there in person. I thought I'd give you a
Video team, any ideas? Raise the flag. Who would have known?
I know.
I might need you back in a second.
Sure.
So should I just hit space? Because I can't see it now.
Brief bio before I jump into the particulars of this assignment. I am a senior instructor here at the College of Business, and this is my 9th year at the college. Most of that time has been spent in the traditional face-to-face format, although I have developed both hybrid and online courses. This is my first year teaching BA 101 as an eCampus course. Previously, I taught it 8 years, both in the face-to-face and hybrid formats. I'm going to jump off the screen here and walk you through the assignment, which is really more of a partnership with eCampus. And there will be 3 things that I'll cover. I'll talk about why I chose to include this assignment as part of BA 101. Then I'll go into the particulars of the assignment, kind of walk you through that. And then finally, I'll end with some feedback from the students. Okay, I'm back, guys. So, why do I have this assignment? The assignment was born out of the College of Business's renewed focus on student success, persistence, and ultimately retention that started about 3 years ago. And there were 2 ways in which I thought an academic coaching assignment might help achieve this goal. One is there are numerous studies showing that student persistence and retention is a function of how integrated or bonded the student feels to the institution. In other words, do they feel like they belong? One step universities can take that has proven to increase a sense of belonging is to convey to students how invested they, the university, are in the student's success. I felt partnering with eCampus Academic Coaching was the most direct method I could employ to convey the university's commitment to student success. The second way in which I feel the assignment helps further the goal of student success is by making students aware of the resources available to them and giving them some actionable steps they can take to be more successful academically. To this end, I pair the academic coaching assignment with an effective learning assignment, which is designed to make students aware of proven effective learning methods such as retrieval practice, spacing, note-taking, etc. Okay, so that's the impetus behind why I created the assignment. Now on to the actual assignment itself. A couple of things to note before I start. One, students are not required to have an academic coaching session. They can choose to either have a session or conduct an informational interview with an industry professional. The idea was to give the students some agency or choice with the assignment and hopefully in doing so get students who were interested and motivated to actually have the coaching. Second, I often have a significant minority of students who live on or near campus, as high as 30% of the class, and they typically use the on-campus academic coaching resources. So here's kind of a breakdown of what students choose to do. About 2/3 do the eCampus academic coaching, a quarter use the on-campus academic coaching, and then a little over 1 in 10 choose to do the informational interview instead of any academic coaching. The assignment actually is two assignments, a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 happens in the first 2 weeks of the course and simply requires the student to schedule the appointment. The reason I do this is that I have found out the hard way that not requiring them to schedule appointments early in the term leads to fewer of them doing it and chaos at the end of the term when they suddenly realize the assignment is due 3 days from now. Part 2 covers the work they need to do to prepare for the appointment, as well as a submission of a reflection after the appointment. Okay, I'm going to jump to my Canvas page now and actually show you the assignment. Here is part 1, very straightforward. Schedule your academic coaching assignment, and that's very easy with Brittany. They can just click right here, and they can actually just schedule online an appointment, and it'll populate Brittany's calendar. So all they need to do is schedule it, right, and then they submit. They just tell me I've scheduled to meet with Brittany at whatever 9 a.m. on April 12th, and they submit it. I tell them, look, this is the easiest 10 points you're going to get. Part 2 looks like this, and it has 2 elements. One is the pre-meeting work, and for eCampus, I asked them to review and think about this, some questions right here found in this document, and this is what those questions are. This was a tweak made on Brittany's recommendation. The first time we did the assignment, students were phoning in and Brittany was having to spend half the session just orientating them to what the purpose of the meeting was. In reflecting on these questions before the meeting, Brittany can have a more substantive and productive session with the students. Now, to make sure that they remember to do the pre-meeting work, I do a weekly video announcement going over the week's module, and I always remind them that if they are having their academic coaching meeting that week, they need to look at part 2 before the meeting and do the pre-meeting activities. The second part is the post or after the meeting things that they need to do. And there are two things they need to do. One, they need to send a thank you email to Brittany within 48 hours of the session and copy me. This is my proof that they actually had the session. And two, they need to submit a short reflection about the meeting, just 150 to 250 words, just giving me an overview of what went on and what they liked and that kind of thing. One last thing is I always try to reply to this reflection. I do this just to kind of close the loop on it and reinforce the importance of the assignment and the fact that we as an institution care. Lots of times this is me simply saying something like, hey, glad you had a great time with the meeting and found it useful. Or perhaps in the reflection they discuss test anxiety or time management, and I'll follow up with an assignment comment which links to some resources regarding the topic. So what do students think? Let me jump back into the presentation here. Overall, they find the assignment very useful. Each term, I do an extensive Canvas survey of my students, and one of the questions I ask is a Likert scale question where I give them the following statement. I felt attending the academic success appointment or doing an informational interview was time well spent. And then I ask them to respond from a rating to strongly agree through to strongly disagree. Now, bear in mind the responses are a mix of students who met with Brittany, used on-campus academic coaching, or did an informational interview. And this has been the response to that statement. We can see that if we look at strongly agree and agree, over half strongly agree or agree with that statement. If I group the responses agree to some extent or disagree to some extent, this is what you get. And you can see an overwhelming majority agree on some level that attending the academic success appointment was time well spent or doing the informational interview. As far as what students say in their reflections, those again are very positive. I pulled some representative quotes from the past two terms, and I'm going to spend a little time on it because I think these really convey the value students find in the sessions much more clearly than an aggregated Likert response. This type of assistant shows how OSU actively works towards student retention. 2 assignments for successful study habits included in this College of Business freshman level class demonstrate COB's endeavor to create a quality educational experience. This was a great opportunity to learn more about Oregon State's community and culture of learning, and it brought me more meaning to my first term. Another quote. I also discussed some of my apprehension around upcoming math classes, and it was reassuring to know that the student success team can help me be prepared for the challenge. Overall, I have been very happy with my experience thus far as an eCampus student, especially given the sudden nature of my transfer. As a long-distance learner, it is nice to know there are resources available to help navigate through some of the procedural and academic challenges of obtaining a higher education. It definitely makes me feel more connected to the community, even though I am not on campus. What I found really helpful was that she being Brittany, was able to relate to the problems that we discussed and gave great advice on how to proceed in a more productive manner. The meeting I had with Brittany Rasick regarding the skills I need to utilize to be the most efficient student I can be was very useful. The wide variety of resources Brittany provided me with to help me become a better studier is my biggest takeaway from our counseling session. I plan on continuing the sessions with Brittany because I feel as though they are beneficial. And this is a thing I see a lot of, is that students, once they have a meeting with Brittany, they want to continue to meet with her on a regular basis because they feel like it adds so much value. In fact, in some cases, by the time they write their reflection, they've already met with her again. On Monday, I had an academic success counseling appointment with Brittany Rasick. It was amazing. Speaking with Brittany was like talking to an old friend. She kept the conversation light but also focused. I felt incredibly valued as a person rather than one of the thousands of students when she followed up with an email with a link relatable to my personal life and career goals. I found a lot of the information and advice she gave to be useful. One of the biggest is stress reduction and mindfulness. It has helped me chip away at obstacles in both my career and academic goals. This has truly been a helpful resource, and I'm so thankful it was incorporated into the course, so thank you. So, very positive feedback. One last word. I would encourage everyone who teaches an introductory course to include an assignment like this. Brittany and the academic success team are absolutely fabulous, and I believe the assignment helps push the needle on a sense of belonging for our students and gives them specific tools they can use to improve as students. I am more than happy to share the assignment with anyone. I'll turn it over to you in Canvas, whatever you want. Just shoot me an email and ask, but I'm more than happy to share it with you if you'd like to use mine as kind of a base to start from. So thank you for your attention.
Okay, let's see how I can do this here. So I can just leave that, right? Okay, so that's really fun to hear Aaron's perspective of all of this. It's been really nice to just check in with him a couple of times in the term. You know, we love exchanging feedback with each other. I get tidbits of how students are experiencing the course, not asking them about that, but they're saying, Aaron's weekly videos really help me to feel that connection with him as an instructor, and so I can share that back with him, different things that he's doing. It's nice that students are able to share that, and we can kind of have that open communication. And then he's been really great about, you know, what adjustments might be needed, how can we make this as relevant and timely for students as possible. So he's been a wonderful partner in this project. So now for some of the takeaways from my perspective from the success coaching side. So I made this to kind of just give a visual representation of some of the themes that are coming out in these calls. So I'm meeting with students also that are not coming from the assignment referral. They're coming from different backgrounds. So it's really interesting to see some of the themes that are happening from this particular referral. So this is actually Grace Masterjohn. She's one of our agricultural sciences students. So she's my model for this. So some of the themes that we see from success coaching from, you can't see it. Do I need to drag this off the screen too? Okay. Oh boy. Oh, so, okay, can't see it here, but I can see it there. Okay, cool. So this is Grace Masterjohn. She's one of our, I'll have to turn this way, one of our ag sciences students. So some of the themes that we're seeing: connection. Students are really wanting to feel connected with the university. You saw that in some of the points that Aaron made from the student reflections. They also really want to feel connected with their instructor and the other support staff. So part of the coaching process is building that connection and that relationship with students, asking them what they're wanting to get out of all of this. What brought you into it? What would success be like for you? How would you measure that? How would you see that? How would you feel? So those kind of questions, and really getting to know those students and also getting to learn from them, what are they wanting to get out of their experience as an online student with Oregon State? A lot of these students want to be involved. They want to join a student organization from a distance. They want to watch events online or connect with a faculty member, or they're hungry for these opportunities to connect. So this is something that's coming out in these conversations, and we can help provide individual recommendations and resources based on what that student has interest in and what they have time for as well. And motivation. So one of the things that's happening in the coaching conversations is we're finding out, one of the questions that Aaron has for the reflection is, what brought you into this program? So a lot of the things, the topics that are coming up, I'm having trouble getting started in the week. I'm waiting until Friday or Saturday to get going. I'm just not really feeling the energy towards this. I want to have more direction. I want to be able to prioritize. A lot of those come back to the motivation. Why are you here? What will this bring into your future? What will be different once you graduate from this business administration program? What will it mean to you? So those kind of questions, we're able to kind of dial in on what the motivation is, and then the student has that to take away from with them moving forward. So whether it's having like a little reminder or something that helps keep that at the forefront of their mind, they're able to have that articulated, and sometimes even just talking it through with someone helps to bring that to the forefront of their mind. And then it's that individualized support. So these conversations are not canned. There's no list of things that we hope to go over. There's no one website we direct them to. Each conversation is unique. It's based on what that student needs, what they have going on, and it's curated essentially just for them. Okay. So some of the other takeaways, I 100% agree with Aaron that optional is best. So if students were required to do this, if they were forced to do this, I think it would have maybe a different tone than if it's, here are your options, what's going to best serve you? You know, are you really interested in finding out what a day in the life is for, you know, your potential job that you would like? You want to do the informational interview, or would maybe this be a better option for you? Because students have that agency, as he mentioned, and they have that choice. I feel like there's a different energy to the conversation, and I definitely feel like optional is best there. I am hearing over and over from students that they do want to be connected early, that they're glad to see this in an introductory class. I've actually heard from some of the students who didn't take BA 101 in their first term, and maybe they're in their third or fourth term, that said, you know, oh, I would have loved to have this conversation, 6 to 9 months ago. So I definitely see that point that came out of from the first round of the assignment. Students want this information early. They're hungry for it. And the importance of the instructor referral. So students get outreach from us. They get emails from us. They do hear from us, but there's something about seeing it in a class and getting that referral from an advisor, from an instructor, from someone else, where it just puts it at the forefront of their mind. We all know that many online students have a lot of things going on in their life. They have a limited amount of time. They have to make choices on where they're going to designate that time. And seeing something like this in a class just really helps to reiterate the instructor's view of it, the value that the university has on it, and also just kind of remind them that it's there for them and allow the time for it, because they're getting some points for it as well. And then I already mentioned that students were giving feedback about certain things that was really helpful for Erin to hear back. And one point I just wanted to make is that coaching is for everyone. I know some students come into the appointment thinking that coaching is for students who are struggling, maybe students who aren't participating or who are failing the class, and that might be a perception from others as well. Coaching is for anybody who wants to improve their performance, who wants to make a change, who wants to be able to articulate what they want to get out of something, or to have that point of connection, to have a person who listens, a neutral party to share their experience with and to make things better, to work on creating a plan. So it doesn't need to be for students who haven't shown up in class or who are struggling. I just kind of wanted to make that point. Okay, and then just in terms of like some logistics and takeaways from my end, I see approximately 45 to 50 students from this assignment in this one course section every term. I was initially doing hour-long appointments. I dropped that down to 30 minutes just for the number of students. I love that Erin opens it up in week 1. So students are already seeing this information in week 1. They already have the link to my calendar. And usually in that first week of the class, I'm already seeing 20 or more appointments getting booked. So that's nice because it gives students the flexibility to pick a date that works well for them. And that also works well with scheduling. And those appointments are 30 minutes. If they want to speak for an hour, we can do follow-up appointments. And I would say about a third or so of the students that I meet with for this assignment want to continue on and do recurring appointments. Some students I work with weekly, a couple times a month, or others just want to check in again before final exams or at the beginning of the next term. We take notes, so the students, we pick up from where we left off. So if they said that next week they want to put X, Y, and Z into place, and this is how they'll know that it's working out, and they want to be able to have that accountability, that's where we start off in the next appointment. So then they have somebody who knows why they want to do this, what their plan is, what they want to set into action, and then they're able to follow up to talk that through in the next appointment. Okay, so I thought it was really important to include the student voice in this. Erin did a great job with sharing those reflections. We're now also going to have a video from Natalie. She's a business administration student. She took the class previously, and she's going to share her feedback on success coaching. So let's do this. Okay, that's Erin.
Hi there, my name is Natalie Plant, and I am currently an eCampus student at Oregon State. I came in as a transfer student, and I am currently a junior. And I wanted to take the time to share my personal experience with success coaching. So I was originally introduced to success coaching by my advisor. At the time, I was really struggling with working full-time and then taking classes full-time. And so that's when she recommended that I meet with a success coach. My first thought was, I will do this, I will check it off the list, and then I will move on with my already very busy life. My expectation was that I would meet with somebody who kind of told me all of the same things that I've already heard. Talk to your instructor, connect with your fellow students, meet with your advisor every once in a while. But instead, what I ended up getting was somebody who asked me detailed questions about how I was doing in my classes, who I was as an individual, and what struggles I was facing week to week. And from there, I was given all of the amazing resources available to me on how I could overcome each one of those struggles. For example, some struggles that I was having was with time management, so busy work schedule, a lot of assignments with full-time courses. Canvas, for example, has some amazing resources on plugging in your assignments from the Canvas calendar to your personal calendar. I was also able to work through some really amazing stress management skills. And overall, that's helped me significantly get through each quarter, week by week, and be successful overall. As a student, I would highly recommend to each instructor to at least let their students know about this awesome resource of success coaching. As an individual, success coaching really opens up each student's eyes to all of the resources that Oregon State has that I personally had no idea were even available to me. I did want to take the time to thank everybody for allowing me to share this experience with them. And again, I would highly recommend success coaching for each student and also for the instructors to recommend to their students. Thank you.
So that's fun to hear. And we had several students who wanted to volunteer and do videos and things like that and share their experience. And they're all a little bit different. For some students, their takeaway is very specific. There was, one resource that they wanted kind of to get out of it. For others, it's a little bit broader. And the nice thing is each student can get out of this what they want. It can be about time management. It can be about school life balance. It can be about why you want to study business and what would it look like to graduate and be successful in this program. So it's student-led and it's unique for each student, which is one of the really great things about it. So that's it for my part. Kyle's going to come up and join us and share about some eCampus faculty partnerships.
So you see how this works. They do the good work. I just come in and kind of say, thank you. That was amazing. And it's true. I think, I want to thank you all for your time as well, because I think each of you was brought here to try to get an idea of how this might work with the students that you're working with or within the departments that you represent. So I really appreciate that curiosity about what might happen. What I wanted to show you was just a couple of examples of what have been some of the meaningful partnerships between our team and other players around the campus, just real quickly. So Brittany really highlighted the class assignments. This is something we're pretty excited about for all the reasons that were just shared, so I won't reiterate that. We also very consistently for the last 3 or 4 years have done GTA training, so graduate teaching assistants, when a department has a new group of GTAs coming in to teach courses, to understand a little bit about the online learner and the resources that might be helpful for the GTA to recommend directly, including success coaching or some of the other things that our team offers. So I just wanted to sort of plug that in case you're in that situation where you would like new graduate teaching assistants to have information. It is true, Brittany mentioned that you don't have to be struggling to benefit from success coaching. And I think anywhere you are as a student, you can improve, but the self-advocacy to recognize the value of that is so important. And so partnered with a class assignment or an announcement in the class by the instructor makes such a difference. But I do want to recognize that a lot of the times that we work with instructors directly is when they do have a concern about a student who maybe isn't participating in the class or was for some time and then has dropped off the radar somewhat. The whole team, the success team, can work in different ways, and in just a minute I'll go over what each of the sort of roles of the folks on our team is. But to know that you can reach out to a success coach or to me, myself, and I can help direct you and connect you to the right folks within the eCampus support team. That's one of the messages we want to give you today, because it can be so hard when you're an online instructor teaching students who are everywhere to really know what is it that got in the way of their showing up this week or participating at the same level that they've done before, or perhaps never showing up. And I think I've actually gotten the most calls in this last term, which I thought was interesting, from instructors across the board who say, okay, I've got a student I haven't heard from in these first 2 weeks. What do you think I should do? Or what can we do to find out what might be going on, how to support the student? Or I've got a student who's showing up finally in week 3 or 4 or 5. How can I structure the rest of my course? Do I need to let them participate? What's the best recommendation for the student's success. So we discuss those options. Just want to put it out there that these are examples of the way that our team partners with faculty. The other thing I just wanted to mention, I think Brittany mentioned very quickly, was that helping students replicate their course engagement or their student engagement from afar is another role that we play with the students, whether we're working with them individually in terms of success coaching or helping them connect with some other tools that we have to help students identify clubs and organizations that are active on campus that are already working with distant students to help include them in either leadership roles or other activities that are happening here on campus through streaming or Zoom meetings, or even roles they can play in their own community to contribute to the student organization that's meeting here. It's a really neat way for students to be engaged just basically at the level that they want to for their own academic and career development. In a minute, we'll have time for questions, and I'm really curious if you have examples too of ways that you have thought about or would like to talk about here or already are engaging students. Real quickly, I just wanted to overview the roles of the student success team at eCampus, just so you can have some thoughts about the way you might either already be or want to engage more with the student support for online students. So there are really essentially three roles within the student success team. We manage the exam proctoring. So if you're holding an exam or a quiz that requires proctoring in your class, that is a role that is managed through eCampus Student Success. And this presentation, of course, is available to you. So I've put links to each of these in case you have questions about what they do or how to engage or what you want to be sharing with your students about this. Student Services is one of our main partners within the Student Success team that we couldn't do the work that we do with students without. And I think just essentially I want to say that these are the folks behind the phone and email that answer all of the concerns of current students, whether they are having trouble registering or engaging in their course appropriately, or don't have textbooks, or had an emergency happen and are trying to figure out how to manage course drops or withdrawals or a petition form. So I've put a link to their services as well. Between student services and student success coaches, a lot of problem solving and advocacy for the students online occurs. And then no need to go into too much more detail about the success coaches. They're a fantastic team. They are assigned to different majors sort of by a cluster. So they serve students. Every undergraduate degree seeking student has a success coach, whether they know it or not. They do know because we do outreach, as Brittany talked about, and we can help identify who the coach is that could outreach with or be available for students to outreach to. Just let us know how we can help. Okay, and I've mentioned a few other things here. There's a lot of heavy work by the coaches on first term, sort of entry and onboarding and helping new students be successful or know what's coming in order to be the most successful as an online student when they're new to OSU. The personalized coaching that Brittany talked about is sort of the other hand of what our coaches do. And then each of our coaches facilitates what we call an ELC, an eCampus Learning Community, where all students are invited to participate, where they can engage with each other, students as well as their coach, and have access to online tools that are based on academic success for the entire life cycle. Whether you're new or you're exiting, that's the purpose of the ELC. So, enough from us. Really, I'm hoping that there's just enough time to find out if you all have questions or ideas, things that you would like to talk about while we have a few minutes left to discuss.
So I love this. We teach orientation online and eCampus, and although they're very different populations, we have some things in common.
Sure.
And I was wondering when I can see an opportunity for students to take it early, to make their appointment with you early enough in the term that they are starting to understand where they're struggling, but not too early, like in week 1 or 2, where they're like, I got this.
Yeah.
But week 4 or 5, they no longer feel they do. So is it like available from this week to this week? How does it work?
Yeah, the way we
Who's assigned to us?
For the assignment, yes. So we could structure it in the best way that fits the needs for your course. The way Aaron wanted to do it is have it very fluid and open-ended. So I've had students schedule as early as the first day of the term, and he has it open through the end of the term. So I've had students schedule right before finals as well. So as long as they book it and send him that reflection before the course ends, he has it completely open. That's lovely for scheduling because it there's a lot of available time on my calendar when they have that wide range of an option. But we could definitely customize it based on the course and the needs for your student in your course in your section. We could even potentially look at ways of doing it as a group or other things if it's a very large course. So there's ways to modify it. But I would say the conversations are a little bit different if it's the first week of the term versus later in the term, but that's okay. Sometimes students really want that help understanding what's in Canvas, how to navigate things, what's going to be expected of me, how do I start planning my time, and that's really helpful as early on as possible. And then there's also a lot of benefits from talking when they have a few weeks under their belt. So, and then students have circled back, the ones that I meet with early in the term, quite a few of those actually come back after midterms to kind of do another check-in to kind of see how are things going now. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
So I teach ALS 108, which is the online skill development
Mm.
course, and a lot of my students this term are in BA 101, and they are talking about the appointments that they're having with their student success coaches in the discussion board, and bringing those topics and their ahas and their awareness into our class as we're engaging in some of the similar skills that they're trying to improve. So the students are benefiting greatly from these conversations, and the students that aren't in BA 101 are then going in and trying to schedule meetings too. So
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. Any other questions? Yes.
I love this because it takes away the stigma of going to CU, which there shouldn't be any, but we all
Right.
know there is. Because students think, well, I shouldn't need a success counselor, right? Or I shouldn't need that.
Yeah.
So, how many of the EA students, for example, were using success counseling in eCampus otherwise? I mean, because obviously this is going to increase that
Yeah.
number. So I was just wondering what your baseline was, approximately.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So the large majority of these students are in their first term. And then there's a few caveats where they didn't take BA 101 right away. So quite a few of these students, maybe we had a couple emails as they were getting set up, they're getting to their advisor. How do I do this? How do I order books? Get them into the ELC. But most of them, this is our first time. We have had a preliminary conversation because the advisors in the College of Business, Jana and Josie, do a great job of referring students over for a welcome call with their success coach. So many of these students, I've had at least like a check-in. This is who I am. This is what success coaching is, which is very helpful as they roll into this assignment because they do have that context of what coaching is and isn't, as well as the reflection questions from the assignment. So that really guides the conversation. They're prepared to talk about these specific points. And I think that takes away some of the stigma or confusion of what it will be because they've already had that welcome call. Yeah.
I think your question might also be asking a little bit about what was the traffic before an assignment
yeah, I mean,
like
one,
this
we don't
came
want
on?
to overload you guys,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
two, I see it as such a positive thing for all new students to do
Mm.
that.
Well, overloading would be a great problem to solve. I mean, I think that means that it's needed, right? I think
Yeah.
that is exactly from everything that was shared today and things that weren't shared but are happening out there. We know it's meaningful and important. Our model has been on student self-referral for the most part,
Right.
and I would say that getting an assignment like this together really exploded the demand. And what's really maybe the most meaningful part of all of that to me is how many students continue to use coaching afterwards, and some of the testimonials that are shared just anecdotally as well. So I think this is an ideal opportunity because self-referral is so important in the model, and in a way that optional assignment is what creates that, but just makes that funnel or that net cast a little wider so all students, more students know about it, and it's a huge service to them. So thanks for asking the questions.
It's a problem we would welcome, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Anything else? Just want to make sure there are other ideas or questions kind of out there.
then I would just recommend then the student services. I mean, I'm motivated after this to make an announcement to the class, but I'm conscious of catering to all the students in my.
Here's what I'd
in my
say,
class.
and you can share if this is in practice, but sort of from a model of what we do, we would never turn away a student, and that's true even for graduate students who reach out to us. Our coaches meet with them, talk with them, help the student articulate what the issues are, and then identify the best resources. Often for the graduate student, that doesn't stay with us long because those issues are within the grad sort of system. Non-degree students, they have different motivations for being here. And some are non-degree in order to declare a major at OSU. And so that would be a perfect population. You don't need to sort through that. Non-degree students can sort through how valuable this might be and what the commitment beyond just maybe initial conversations would be. But I think we've served non-degree students and will and help them find the resources. If they're truly just taking a class or two or a series, those resources to support them are probably their own communities.
I've had several non-degree students that have met with me in this course assignment that just got to me and scheduled, and I didn't know that they would be non-degree, but then, those conversations have been very rich because they are making some big decisions and they're weighing things, and we definitely will support them.
Don't shy away. I think
Yeah.
it's valuable. We can handle. Great.
Yeah. What about on-campus students
Yeah.
utilizing the service? Because obviously when you go to the success coach, it says, majors. But what if you're an on-campus major and you want help to?
Yeah, so I don't know, in Aaron's video, it was kind of small, but when he actually lays out the assignment, there's two pathways. There's if you're on campus versus if you're e-campus. So on-campus students are directed to the Academic Success Center. The link is there for them to schedule with a coach from the Academic Success Center. In the time that we've been doing this assignment, I think I've had one or two that accidentally got to me, and I usually try to catch those early, let them know that we have the Academic Success Center. I've had one student who was coded campus who said they'd never stepped foot on campus, they don't live in Corvallis, they live in Oregon, so it works out better for them to be coded campus, but they wanted to talk specifically about online concerns, so they did end up meeting with me. So, but he does lay that out really nicely.
That's my question. Is the success coaching in Waldo going to be the same, like online learning? Are they going to have that?
Well,
Well,
academic
online strategies,
success,
Mhm.
and yes, so much of what they do through their Learning Corner does focus on online strategies as well. I think it's really about sort of the format. You can walk in, see somebody, or you can use online services. We collaborate, coordinate between us if we ever kind of find the person who would be better fit for the other. And so I think it's not a huge issue or barrier in terms of service. And students find what they need, or you can help them do that.
Yes.
So I might have missed this, I came in a couple minutes late. How do you meet with these students via phone call,
Yeah.
Skype? How do you get these meetings?
Yeah. So they have the option. Large majority, we do a phone appointment. I've done video chat with just a few based on, I had a student who was active duty stationed, so that was just a better resource in terms of getting connected. Some students, after we've met once, they might want to do the video chat, once there's some foundation there in the future. But it's up to them. I would say 96% or more phone calls. Yeah. We've had a couple come in person. If they happen to be within driving distance and want to come to campus, they're welcome to meet with us in person as well.
And every now and then they happen by email too. Very rarely, but that is always an option if a student would like to reflect on questions, for instance. I've seen this in probably a handful or two of the students that we serve.